Hello and welcome to this tutorial on using the FERM toolkit for Unity. FERM is a toolkit that lets you set up Raymarching in Unity. If you don't know what Raymarching is, I highly recommend you go and watch a YouTube video that explains it, because it's a very beautiful technique and I'm sure you'll enjoy seeing it. But otherwise, if you've seen the effects and you would like to get started yourself, I'll show you how you can make a beautiful scene yourself in Unity. So what I have right here is just a blank Unity project, which has nothing except the FERM toolkit itself installed. So what I'm going to make is a little magic ball that is affected by physics and can roll around and that you can play with a little bit. So to start out, I'm going to go to GameObject, FERM, and to create unlit. Standard is just a standard shader of Unity, and unlit is a special shader that isn't affected by lighting, so you can create your own shading effects this way. So to start out, you get this little cube here, but that's not what we want to end up with, so this is only a placeholder. We're going to start by adding a new game object, which I'm going to call fractal. And I'm going to add a component, which is a FERM primitive. And I am going to change the type to box. Okay, so now I just have a simple Raymarching setup that is simply rendering a single box. Okay, so next I'm going to add a few modifiers. So this is the FERM modifier component, and I'm first going to add a transform. And I'm going to set this to 0.5 scale and then move the position a little bit. So I think this is probably like 1/4 I need to move it. Okay. So now I just have a transform being applied to the box. If I turn this off, I get the full box. If I turn this on, I get this 1/8 of the box. I'm going to add a few more modifiers. This is a mirror modifier. So this is now mirroring that little 1/8 of a box, making this little rectangle. And I can move the mirror plane and turn it around. For now, I'm going to leave it at the default values and add 2 more of these. Okay, now I'm going to change the axis so that I get again the complete cube that I started out with. This may sound a little bit dumb, but bear with me for a while. I'm going to add a recurse modifier and set this to target all the modifiers before and crank up the iterations to 20. Now I do not really need a box primitive anymore, so I'm going to change this to point to save a little bit on rendering speed. And now I can change this rotation to have a fractal pop out of the box. And there we have it. Okay, so this is a good point to start out from. I'm going to set the rotation to 0 for a while and add a few more modifiers. So first I'm going to use a repeat modifier, repeat all. Just creating this infinite field of boxes which are all affected by the same rotation. And I can change these cell sizes to create different effects. For example, I can connect these by setting this X value very small and then increasing the other values and create these sort of strings that run off to infinity. Or I can set 2 values to 1 to create these planes. Okay, so I wanted to create a sort of magic ball effect. So what I'm going to do next is cut out a sphere of this entire fractal. So to do that, I'm going to add a few more shapes. First, I'm going to create an intersect mixer. So I'll call this intersect and add a mixer and set this to intersect. Then under this intersect, I will create a new shape. This is going to be a sphere. So again, primitive. And then, where is it? Sphere. Now I'm going to add this fractal under here. Okay, it's not automatically recompiling this time, so I'm going to do it manually. And now we have this infinite fractal which is being cut off into a single sphere. So I'm going to go back to this and set the cell size here to 1 as well, so it kind of fills up. And now again I can just change this rotation to have it change smoothly, and this is giving me this kind of magic sphere effect. Okay, so a few more things. First of all, I'm going to go back to the main FERM game object here and open the material properties. I'm going to drop down this cutoff factor a little bit, which can save a little bit of performance and improve the shading here. Going to crank up the quality just a little bit. And I don't think I need to touch the other parameters. Now I can also add a texture that is included in the FERM package, which is this rainbow colored image, and set the UV mode to something else, probably radial would be best. Okay, in this case I need to change the parameters here a little bit. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so now I have this kind of weird looking magic sphere, and if I grab this sphere here and move it around, we should have this sort of effect, this sort of fractal rolling through, and to give this really trippy weird effect on it. Okay, so now to cap this off, I'm going to put this at the center for a while and add a rigid body and a sphere collider. And I'm going to set this radius to match the sphere. And now I can just add a cube, just a regular Unity cube. Move this down, scale this up, and give it maybe a little bit of tilt. Maybe not that much. Okay, and now if I save the scene and play, you should see the sphere being affected by gravity. And I can tilt this plane to move it around and have the fractal appear in different places. Okay, so of course if you're using this with a game sort of rollerball kind of thing, you might want to tweak some of these parameters as well. For example, I might want to scale up the fractal to have a little bit, in this case I need to change this as well. So I can scale this up, this fractal, to get a little different amounts of coverage, and maybe increase the cell size as well. Well, this is not really affecting it now, but yeah, okay, you might do something like this. And you can also rotate this inside the sphere and have these things animate automatically. Okay, let's just change this a little bit. Okay, so at this point you can go crazy with how you want to animate and modify this. So one thing I can do, for example, is add a param exposer. And I'll set this to target my transform rotation. And this is going to expose a quaternion value. Now I can create a new animator. So we're going to do that very quickly. Not that one. Is this the right one? No, I need to have the fractal, right? I'll give this an animator, set the animation. Okay, and now I should be able to change this value over time. Okay, so I'm just going to find some nice value that I can loop over. And just put in some random numbers here. Okay, maybe I don't want to use exactly this. Okay, I'll just take this value, copy it over. Now I have sort of a looping animation. Okay, maybe slow this down a little bit so you have more time to look at what's happening. And I'll set this to loop. And now if we go back to play mode, should have this animating fractal shape. Okay, there we go. So of course there's still a lot of different possibilities and a lot of different components that you can play around with. If you're looking for inspiration, you can always take a look at all the examples that are included in the package. I highly recommend that you give it a try and see what kind of beautiful shapes you can come up with. In any case, I'll be signing off. Goodbye and good luck with your projects.